how not to doubt providence. Most of the time, the idea of providence or the conclusion that everything is guided, directed by divine direction or guidance, mostly takes place when things happen already. It's more of a reflection of the past. So we say, or we quote the verse in the scriptures, Romans 8:28, all things work together for good for those who are called or who believe in Him. And most of the time we say that when things happen, whether it's good or bad, we conclude with confidence and sometimes with faith to accept and to embrace the past, the history, to comfort us, to give us a sense of peace with what took place. But to make the embrace of sovereignty in a present manner, or while on the spot of what's taking place, is very hard to make. It's very hard to really believe the moment of, let's say, looking at the unfolding ways of God's mysterious ways. We don't see it right away when it's on the process. But if you make the understanding of providence as something of present, then you begin to basically participate and actively participate and proactively participate with the divine will. And that's very, very difficult to do. You need a lot of faith to do that. Most of the stories in the scriptures are about people who experienced the difficulty or the trials and the tribulations of their lives, while at the same time hanging on to the providence of God. And the great example would be Jesus Christ, who was pictured or displayed or portrayed in the scriptures while hanging on the cross, was when his two hands and his physical existence, even his spiritual and emotional existence, are held by the slavery of the history. I mean, suspended, defenseless, could not do anything, could not even rescue himself while hanging on the cross. But at the same time, it says he was upholding all things. He was in control. How can you be in control when you're out of control? So that's the key in understanding divine providence. Not as a kind of conclusion after the event, but it's basically a proactive process in which you are taking control, because you knew exactly what is going to happen. You're not you're not guessing the will of God. That's basically the bottom line of many prophecy, as we say, as some of the liberal theologians would say, that prophecies are self-fulfilling prophecy. They're not a prediction, merely a prediction of what's going to happen. You make them happen. Just like in the person of Jesus the Christ, he was making things happen while suspended on the cross. And in fact, even in the epistle of St. Paul, he was considered to be, even in epistles of Peter, he was the lamb slain before the foundation of the world. He knew that. I mean, when he was probably alive, he didn't knew that in experience. He just knew that in principle. As a lamb slain before the foundation of the world, he was carrying that mindset. He was carrying that kind of mind in himself as the servant, willing to die. He must have the willingness on that particular present moment to die in order to fulfill the foreknowledge, the providence. So in fact, as believers, we can exactly create the life we want to. And if we want to on the basis of what God wanted to happen. How do you know that? How would you know that? Just by reading the Bible or reading scriptures or holy books or spiritual books. I mean, deep down within you, you would know. You would know the providence, certainty in your journey. Because that is what the intended plan of the Father. So, providence is not. It's not a coping mechanism or defense mechanism of what took place. It's to rationalize things in a very illogical way sometimes. Many of us. Providence is something that you can make it happen.